Your company is a window into corporate spending, and I'm just surprised by how the strength is broad-based from region to region. Have you been surprised by that over the last few months?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jonathan, first of all, our teams have executed incredibly well, but I've said repeatedly, I have been somewhat shocked at the resilience of the global economy. Obviously, there's some data points out this morning that are indicating maybe some weakness, but we saw consistent demand from the beginning of our quarter to the end. We saw consistent performance across our geographies, across customer segments, and across all of our technology areas. So we were quite pleased, particularly given that, the last month of our quarter actually fell into January, which was a big thing that we really wanted to understand what was going to happen in January. So really proud of what our team accomplished.
So, Chuck, help us sort of untangle a few things here. Is this about execution? Is this about Cisco? Or do you think things are just not as bad as some people think they are?
Well, I think, Jonathan, I've been asked for several quarters how much of this performance is macro and how much is execution, and I've said it's very difficult to actually put your finger on it. I think clearly our teams are executing. We have what I would believe to be the best portfolio of innovation we've had in years. We have, we're in a situation where technology is sitting at the heart of the strategy of our business customers, our government customers around the world. So, technology is no longer being thought of as an operational enabler. Technology is in the heart of how they're going to drive revenue, how they're going to drive citizen services, how they're going to, drive productivity. So I think we are in a different place. But clearly there's a lot of macro complexity out there, and we just continue to try to execute our way through it, to the extent we can.
The shift to software clearly playing off as well, Chuck. I was looking at the additional $15 billion to the buyback program, and I think 12 months ago you and I wouldn't have been having this discussion, but we're about to have it now. The politics around buybacks. Just talk to me about the thought process that goes into a buyback at a company like Cisco, and communicate perhaps to the politicians down in Washington, D.C. as to why this is the right decision for the overall company.
Well, Jonathan, there's a lot of discussion around buybacks, and I think, frankly, they're not completely understood. I think that there's a view that every company looks the same, and we are not a capital-intensive business. So the options we have for our capital that we're generating, we're running a very successful business that's generating cash. Our options are M&A, dividend, and buybacks. And I think the premise that is being done at the expense of your employees is incorrect. I mean, this morning, we were rated number 6 on the United States Great Places to Work list, and that's up from 48 a year ago. So our employees are saying that we're a great place to work at the same time that we're actually delivering buybacks. So the two can actually coexist. And I just think it's a discussion where we need to be talking to many of the folks in Washington to really help people understand what's really going on, because I don't think it's completely understood.
So, Chuck, I saw in Barron's and Eaton Vance did their annual list of the most sustainable companies in the United States, and you were there once again at the top. I think number 2 this time around. You've talked about the communication just there with Washington, D.C. Are you actively going to seek out some of these senators that are writing some of these op-eds, delivering some of these tweet storms, to tell them that this isn't the case? The argument they're making doesn't actually make sense.
Well, John, thanks for bringing that up. I mean, last year we were number 1 on the list. This year we were number 2, behind my good friend Hugh Bear over at Best Buy, who's done a great job. But look, we spend a lot of time in Washington. We're doing our best to share what we know and understand what they're thinking, and try to help come to some rational conclusion on lots of issues. And so when we're high on the great places to work, we're high on sustainability, and we're delivering, solid results for our customers, our employees, and our shareholders. And, I think that says that we're trying to do the right things right now. But we do spend a lot of time in Washington trying to just share whatever knowledge we can to help them make the best decisions they can make.
Chuck, here's a political story that might actually help Cisco. In fact, many people think it will help Cisco. You and I touched on this in Davos a couple of weeks ago. Increasingly, there are security concerns around competitors like Huawei. There are some banks, some analysts out there that think Cisco could be the winner there because they have established global presence. It's a trusted entity. Do you think you can take some share away from Huawei because of these security concerns?
Well, Jonathan, we think about this primarily from the perspective of competing based on our innovation. And if you look at our results in Asia, our business was up 11%. In Europe up 11%, Asia up 6%. Our service provider business, where we compete very deeply, we were positive in both of those regions in our service provider business. So I think that we've proven that we can compete based on our innovation and based on the value that we bring our customers and helping them deliver services, winning in the enterprise in those spaces. So, we don't actually focus on some of the political dynamics that are going on right now. We focus on winning based on our innovation. That's what we're going to continue to do.